Okay, and so in this video, I'm going to teach you about Chapter 1, Lesson 4, okay, 1-4, and it's about using ratio tables to solve ratio-related problems, okay? So let's start off with the first problem here, all right? So it says, to make yellow icing, you mix 6 drops of yellow food coloring with 1 cup of white icing. How much yellow food coloring should you mix with 5 cups of white icing to get the same shade? Okay, so the first thing you think to yourself, okay, what are the two things that they are comparing? Okay, what are the two units? So the two things that we're comparing are the yellow food coloring and the white icing. So in the ratio table, you'll start a ratio table like this, and in one section you're going to write yellow. I'm going to say yellow food coloring and white icing. So I'm just going to use yellow and white just to make it easier. So it says 6 drops of yellow food coloring. So I'm going to put 6 next to the yellow food coloring and 1 for the cup of white icing. Okay. So now it's asking how much yellow food coloring should you mix with 5 cups of white icing. So I need to get to a 5 over here. Okay. Because it says 5 cups of white icing. So here's how you finish off this problem, all right? So we need to figure out what goes in that empty box on top of the 5. So you think to yourself, okay, you're creating an equivalent ratio is essentially what you're doing. You have 6 over 1 equals something over 5. So you think to yourself, okay, what can I multiply or divide by to get from 1 to 5? Well, 1 times 5 is 5. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to show that I'm multiplying 1 times 5, and I'm getting 5 over here. So whatever I do to the bottom, I need to do to the top. So I'm going to multiply 6 times 5 too. All right, so 6 times 5 is equal to 30. And so 30 goes here. And that's our answer. So it's going to say how much yellow food coloring? You would say 30 drops of yellow. And that would be your answer to number 1. All right. Okay, after you've copied this down, go ahead and move on to the next example. All right, so this one, I want you to try a little bit more on your own, okay? I'm going to start you off, though. So a recipe calls for 5 cups of water for each cup of black beans. How many cups of water should be used for 4 cups of black beans? So we're going to start off with a ratio table, okay? Over here and here, you're going to write the two things that are being compared. So go ahead and push pause, write the two things that are being compared, and then check your answer. Okay, so what you should have written is water and black beans. Now, it does not matter the order. You could write black beans on top. You could have written on the bottom like I did. Doesn't matter. What's important is that you're putting the right numbers with each unit. So 5 cups of water and for each cup of black beans. So for 1 cup of black beans, all right? Now it says how many cups of water should be used for 4 cups of black beans. So I need to put a 4 here. I need to figure out what goes here in that box. So I think to myself, okay, go ahead and try solving this on your own. Push pause. So I'm going to think to myself, okay, what do I multiply by 1 to get 4? All right, multiply by 4. So I'm going to do the same thing on top. Multiply by 4. And then I get 20. Perfect. So the answer would be 20 cups of water. Whoops, all of that just disappeared. You can go ahead and rewind if you need to see that part again. Thank you, Microsoft OneNote. All right, let's move on to the next problem. In a recent year, Joey Chestnut, he won a hot dog eating contest by eating nearly 66 hot dogs in 12 minutes. Whoa, that's a lot. If he ate at a constant rate, determine about how many hot dogs he ate every 2 minutes. Okay, so we're going to start off with the ratio table, all right? And I want you to think to yourself, what are the two units that are being compared? And then write that over here and here in the ratio table. So push pause, go ahead and put in the units, and then check your work. Okay, so what you should have written down is hot dogs and minutes. Okay, like if you put minutes on top, that's fine. Okay, it doesn't matter the order. What matters is that you're putting the right units next to each other. Now you're going to write down the numbers that go with each unit. All right. So hot dogs, 66 in 12 minutes. Now you need to determine how many hot dogs he ate every 2 minutes. So I'm going to put a 2 here where it says minutes. So then I'm going to think to myself, okay, how do I get from 12 to 2? So you can, and for these ratio tables, what's really important is you're only using multiplication and division. Really important with ratio tables, only multiplication and division, no addition and subtraction, okay? So you think to yourself, how can I multiply or divide to get from 12 to 2? I can divide by 6, right? So if I divide by 6 on the bottom, I got to do the same on the top. Divide by 6. And luckily, wow, 66 divided by 6, that's a nice one. That's 11. So our answer would be 11 hot dogs in 2 minutes. Holy mackerel. 11 hot dogs in 2 minutes, that's a lot. I can't even eat one hot dog in 2 minutes. So that's pretty impressive. All right, let's keep going. Let's do some more examples. All right, so make sure you have this written down. Also write down this part right here. It's really important with ratio tables. You're only using multiplication and division. So push pause, write this down, and then continue on. All right, let's look at example 3. So this one has it sort of partly done for you, all right? So it says cans of corn are on sale at 10 for $4. All right, so this one is a little bit different. Okay, so the ratio table is already done for you. So from 10 to 15, you can't go exactly from 10 to 15. All right, that won't work too well. So what you need to do is find either a multiple or factor that's in common between 10 and 15. Multiple or factor, okay? Let's go ahead and use a factor. All right, let's use a factor of 5. So 5, I'm going to put 5 here. Okay. And then I'm going to think to myself, how do I get from 10 to 5? Okay, so to get from 10 to 5, I've got to divide. So I'm going to divide by 2. I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to create a new ratio to help me get to the next one. I'm going to divide by 2. Whatever I do the top, do the bottom, I get 2. Okay, so now I can get from 5 to 15 because 5 times 3 is equal to 15. So I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Multiply by 3 now. So now we get 6. All right. So the answer here, the cost of 15 cans would be $6. All right. So I want you to try, let's try another one. Okay. So let's try this one. Let's try this one. So this one I want you to try to set up on your own. So read it to yourself and think about the 2 units that you would use and go ahead and try setting it up. So push pause and then check your work. All right, so we're comparing hours and lawns. Hours and lawns. So it starts off, it tells us 14 hours for 8 lawns, and he wants to know how many for 49. So I'm going to just make an extra space. Oh, it's 49 hours, so 49 goes here. All right, so I made that extra space so that I could put in an extra ratio to help me with finding the final answer. So what I'm going to think about is I need to get from 14 to 49, but it's not so easy to do that. So I'm going to think of a factor in common between 14 and 49 to put in this box here. Well, I'm thinking about a factor. 7 is a factor that's in common between both of them. So I'm going to put that here. So I'm going to think, okay, how can I get from 14 to 7? Okay, I got to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. If I do the top, I got to do the bottom. So I'm going to divide by 2 here. Okay, 8 divided by 2 is 4. All right, now I can get from 7 to 49 because 7 times 7 is 49. So what I do at the top, do to the bottom. 4 times 7, 28. All right, so our answer is 28 lawns in 49 minutes. Okay. So make sure you go ahead and push pause and copy this down. All right, we're going to try one more, and I want you to try this one on your own, okay? So on her vacation, Leah exchanged 50 American dollars and received 60 Canadian. Use a ratio table to find out how many Canadian dollars she would receive for 20 American. So here's what you're going to do first. Go ahead and put in the units on the left and fill in as much as you can. Make sure to leave an extra space for an extra ratio that you might need to put in. So go ahead and try it, and then click play when you're ready to see my solution. Okay, so we're comparing American money to Canadian money. All right, so 50 American were for 60 Canadian. I'm going to put an extra ratio box for, or a column for a ratio, another one. It says, find out how many Canadian dollars she would receive for 20 American. So 20 American, we need to know how many Canadian. All right, so we can't go from 50 to 20. So I'm going to find a factor in common, all right? A factor in common between 50 and 20 would be 10. Okay, there's other ones you can use. I'm going to use 10. So to get from 50 to 10, I'm going to divide by 5. So I'll do the same here. Divide by 5. All right, and 60 divided by 5 is 12. So now I'm going to go from 10 to 20. To get from 10 to 20, I got to multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply by 2, and then we get 24. So it would be 24 Canadian dollars for 20 American dollars. All right. So here's what you're going to do on ClassKick. All right. So after you've copied that down, on ClassKick, you are going to do these two pages, page 3 and page 4. And then on page 5, you are going to post a picture of your notes from 1-4. So on this page, you're going to do the ratio tables, and just like on the first page on 1-3, make sure that only put in the answers. Don't put in the units, because I only made it so you could check the numbers. And then this is also more practice here. Okay. All right. That's pretty much it. If you have questions, write them down, and I will answer your questions next week.